Joining us live is the Shadow Treasurer, Ted O'Brien. So now you're the butt of jokes, Ted.
I was really proud of Jim Chalmers for cracking a joke, Pete. He's actually not a very funny guy, so I think it was great, and I pay him credit for it.
But isn't that the sorry state of things at the moment? With the rate rise, you were gifted an opportunity to attack the government, but you couldn't take advantage of it because the opposition is a shambles.
Oh, look, there's no doubt we've got a long way to go when it comes to our discussions with the National Party. But, Peter, it does actually tell you another story. You know, Jim Chalmers takes some time practising these sort of wisecracks, and that was a good one, by the way. But what he doesn't take time doing is actually managing the economy. And what you said at the beginning is right. Australian households are being slugged, so the average mortgage holder is now paying $23,000 more in interest alone every year under the Labor government. Now, the focus of Jim Chalmers and the Labor Party should be to stop their wasteful spending, which is only adding to inflation and forcing the Reserve Bank to make decisions like they did yesterday. That's the key issue that's facing mums and dads across the country. It's what our focus is as the Liberal Party, and it should be what the focus of the government is.
Well, the Treasurer, he wouldn't admit any fault. In my discussion with him yesterday, or other people's discussions with him or interviews, even though spending is at record highs. So where do these cuts need to be made now, in your view?
Well, Pete, on that, the Treasurer never takes responsibility. I can't think of any time in the last 4 years he's ever taken responsibility when there's bad news. When there's good news, he's all over the place. He's straight to a camera. Look at me, I'm Jim Chalmers, aren't I great? But unfortunately, when things go bad, it's someone else's fault. And he's run out of people to blame. So what you saw yesterday was he was blaming the interest rate rise on private citizens, private businesses. You know, this is not Liberal versus Labor in this debate. This is the Labor Party against the Australian people, as far as I'm concerned. And you know where the Liberal Party stands? We stand with the Australian people.
There has been a bump up in the private sector. He refers to that. That's true, is it not?
It is. And if you look at the Reserve Bank's comments, of course, both public spending, so government, and private spending is butting up against the speed limit of the economy. Even a lot of that private spending that has gone up, a lot of that has come from the government putting more money into the hands of the private sector. Again, this is the highest spending government outside of the pandemic in 40 years. He can't run away from those facts. And we've had economist after economist line up saying the Albanese government has to stop its spending spree. It's why I openly call it not inflation but Jimflation. It's a direct consequence of Jim Chalmers spending too much money.
Right. So, but
and that's what's happened. They've got too much government money in the economy.
Sure. No, you're right. It's at record levels, no doubt about that. But we need to make cuts now. So where would you be suggesting you start looking to make these cuts?
Well, cuts aren't the priority here. Offsets are, and they're very different things, Pete. And so the government has every right to determine what its spending priorities are. But with those rights come commensurate responsibilities. And that means finding room in the budget to pay for them.
Sure.
And so the coalition isn't out there previously, and the Liberal Party now saying cuts. Yeah. We are saying just apply the same discipline a household does.
Is that a fancy way of avoiding a question about cuts because you're worried about blowback?
No, not at all. Can I give you an example, Pete? So if a family wants to have their kids do a sport on a weekend, it's going to cost them to join the sporting club, but they haven't got the money to pay for it. They've got to just make a decision, right? Families do this right across the country. We've got to probably, have less takeouts. It's just sort of trying to balance things, find offsets. The government is spending $50 billion extra this year in discretionary spending. So that's not health and education, NDIS, anything like that. These are just decisions made around the cabinet table, but the Treasurer has not asked ministers to find offsets, to see where that money can be found. It is that basic discipline of financial management which is missing, and we're calling on the government to start introducing.
Here's another point. So The Treasurer is now reportedly considering scaling back the 50% capital gains tax discount for investors. What would your response to that be?
It's what happens when you have a Labor government that's running out of money and they just want to come after more. And what do? They tax people. That's my response.
So
this is Labor.
You wouldn't support any changes to capital gains tax?
We are not going to be joining with Jim Chalmers on trying to ping Australians for more money because he can't stop his spending spree. That's his motivation. We saw it last year with his, he wanted to tax unrealised capital gains last year, and eventually it caught up with him. He couldn't justify it. They had to dump it. And now, of course, he's going to go after capital gains tax. Instead of doing his first job, if he wants to talk about holistic tax reform to make it more efficient with the Liberal Party, we are up for that conversation. But what we're not up for is just taxing Australians more because he keeps spending more.
Okay, so what is holistic?
First task, rein in the spending.
What is holistic tax reform? What's something that you would approve?
Basic principles, it needs to be lower, it needs to be fairer. Now,
okay, but that's what he argues. That's what he argues about changes to capital gains tax. It's a way to make housing inequality fairer. You don't buy that?
Look, the main issue is supply when it comes to housing, Pete. And anyone who thinks you're going to change the tax settings and suddenly more houses are going to be built, they are kidding themselves. Supply, supply, supply. When it comes to Jim Chalmers, tax, tax, tax. He has to focus on supply when it comes to housing. This is the issue. They are way behind their targets. Fewer houses are being built under the Labor Party than was the case under the Coalition. Their whole affordable housing entity is a debacle, both from governance and targets. Their 5% deposit scheme is also proving to have the result of pushing prices up for the Australian people. So they're failing on housing. Jim Chalmers' idea, let's tax the Australian people more. That's not the answer. Rein in your spending and focus on supply on housing.
Right, but isn't the Labor Party the party of lower taxes? Didn't they prove that at the last election?
Well, there's no doubt that they are taxing Australians more, Pete. And so if you look at how much tax the average worker is paying now compared to when the Coalition was in government, they're forking out about $5,000 more in personal income taxes. Now, why is that happening? Because, again, Gymflation pushes prices up. People see their pay going into a higher bracket, and Jim Chalmers takes more tax out. And then he goes and he takes out $5,000 bucks, and then he puts few $100 in your front pocket and says, "Aren't I great?" Sorry, Labor is taxing. Okay. That is the problem. The highest taxing government we've had in history. Just
to wrap up, Ted, I mean, does this all accelerate? And just looking at the floor of Parliament yesterday, and there's bits of former opposition everywhere. Does this accelerate the need to get the Coalition back together?
Oh, Pete, look, there's no doubt that Australia is best served by a coalition, but that has to be done in the right way. And I believe that there is a pathway. We are having very good, constructive conversations with David Littleproud. And so he's hoping those conversations can continue. But
you got a timeline?
Nothing to reveal on this at this point. I'm sorry, Pete?
A timeline on reform? And even if you do reform, is there trust there? Because what's to say that you disagree with something down the track and you just break up again?
Well, this is where conditions and rules are key, especially that rule of shadow cabinet solidarity. It's a rule that's held our Westminster system of government in good stead for hundreds of years. That is a fundamental condition that should not be jeopardised. As for timeline, look, the next step hopefully will be a further conversation between Susan Lee and David Littleproud today.
Ted O'Brien, good to chat.